So I'm working on the rear lower control arm mounts to the frame. So these are the front ones where the bushings go. So I made up this cheap little fixture. Just happened to have some 1-inch stock and some 2-inch stock, and I wanted 3 inches, just over 3 inches inside, and this is like 3 inches and maybe 15 or 20 thousandths. So I cut a piece of 3x4. So now this is going to be like 3 3/8 by 3. So I beveled the edges. So I'll go in here and lay some beads on each side and start welding them together. We'll tack them. Well, that worked out quite well. We're shooting for a little over 3 inches, so I'm getting about 310, 311. $330, $320. So I think those turned out quite well. So now we'll go ahead and finish welding these together, top and bottom, grind them out. We'll move on to the next step. Well, I got the front lower control arm to the frame brackets all welded together. Did them on the inside too. Probably won't clean those welds up unless I need to, but we'll check it when we put everything together. But right now, real happy. Might do a little bit of fill in that gap, but if I cut this back, I may not need it, so we'll see. But right now, those are good enough. We'll keep moving forward. So I'm getting ready to weld the passenger side lower control arm bracket onto the rear end. So I've got the rear end basically level horizontally. I've got it up 3 degrees positive this way. And then what I did is I put a 2-inch piece of rectangular tubing. So now we got about 2 inches and 7 thousandths in here, front and back. I put my drift in, and I've got that at about 1 degree, so we're within a half a degree because I think the housing itself is about 4 degrees. So we're within a half a degree, and that's got plenty of movement in the ball for the Johnny joint. And I've got the back level. So check these 3 holes. I also put a drill bit in the lower one to keep these all aligned. So everything should be good and aligned, and everything's cleaned up. So I think we're going to go ahead and tack it up. Now this won't be the final one. Again, we'll check everything on the chassis and make sure everything clears correctly, and then we'll do a final weld up later. But right now, just enough to hold it in place. So I finished tacking on the rear lower control arm mounts. So they're pretty close to where I want them. The dimensions side to side are correct, but I think they're a little bit twisted this way. They're perpendicular and everything, but we'll see how it looks. We'll just use that for now. Maybe we'll come up with a little bit better way, but I've got about a little over 2 inches, and I think most to like 30 thousandths at the bottom. But when you put the bolts in for lower control arms, those should tighten it up. But we'll try it out and see. It'll be good for mock-up right now, and if I need to move them, I just cut the tacks off and move them. So we'll put this back under the car and look at locating the lower control arm mounts in the front, and we can put the lower control arms in and see what they look like. So we'll probably do that on Monday, because it's, maybe you can hear it in the background, it's getting ready to storm, and it's late on Saturday, so time to head home, spend time with the wife. So I spent the morning figuring out that the Dripless motor has got a short in it somewhere. So when you plug it into the ground fault protecting outlet, it trips it. So I've got that off to the electric motor rebuilding guy. He's going to check it out for me. So what I've been doing this morning and this afternoon now is I've got the rear end back in. It's at ride height, which is about 7 inches from the center line They're basically 7 inches from the rocker to the ground. That's where I like to start with. I got the lower control arm in. It's at center line, so that is all correct. We've got the rear end at about 3 degrees. And you can see I put that, light isn't that great, but I put that box in that I made the other day, which is 3 3/16 by 3. And then I've just got it attached to a piece of 3 by 3. It'll at least run this far if it doesn't go all the way across. And then I've kind of mocked up where the upper control arm is. So it's going to have to go up a little bit. We'll have to cut some more of the tunnel out for the rear end. But that's got to move up. And then I've got it approximately, this is 8 degrees, but it really needs to come up, probably at both ends, but this has got to come up because this should be at 6 degrees down. But just kind of to get an idea. So what I plan on doing was taking another piece of 3 by 4 box and attaching it here, and then we'll run up with it above the rear end and then back, and then that's where the shock mounts will be, and then it'll probably go back to where the bumper mounts, and use it to mount, you know, the exhaust system and the fuel tank and all that stuff. But that's where we're at right now. It might narrow down when it goes in the back, but at least up to where the shock mount comes across, that'll probably be 3 by 4. But we'll see how much clearance we have when we get there. So probably have to do a little bit more cutting and see what I can do about getting this upper control arm mount more to where it's supposed to be. We got our Prothane motion control GM Type A short motor mount in, and I also ordered an LSX Aluminum Innovations plate kit for the block. And the reason I wanted that is I wanted to be able to move the motor mount into different positions, because I needed, when I was using my original setup, the tube would have been back here. So now I can be able to space this side to side and get the tube that goes to the subframe right in the center. So I'll show you that next. So this is probably going to be impossible to see on camera, but I've got the plate in, the motor mount in on the passenger side, and here is the tube right where my finger is. So now that's about centered, so I can put a piece of tubing in here and an 1 3/4 tube between the subframe and the bolt tube, and we should have motor mounts. Well, I found some tubing that fits around a 7/16 bolt, and remove the rust coating, rust preventative rust coating, put a bolt in it, and then the lower control arms, upper control arms that were wrong, that were fish mouthed, I just repurposed those, so cut them about 4 3/4, and then I will drill a hole to accept that through there, and this will go on the tube for the subframe. So let's put that together and see how things look. So this is what I finally came up with for the motor mounts. So this part will go to the Miata subframe, and then of course there's through hole here, and that will bolt to the motor mount with a grade 8 bolt, like that. So we'll tack this area in here, we'll make sure everything's square, and then we'll tack this tube in, and then take it out, pull the engine out eventually, and fully weld everything together, and then probably put some sort of bracing here to the subframe. So we'll go take care of that now. And there we have it. Got a hose return line in the way, but it all fits good. So we've got the motor plate in. You'll be able to see. So the aluminum's the motor plate. That is the polyurethane mount, bolt. There's the tube in there, and then the tube to the lower. So we have that on both sides. So I'll probably put a brace in here for some strength, and probably one at the top, because I don't have, maybe just a little one here. I don't have a lot of room, but all looks good so far. So we'll get everything cleaned up and tack those in place. Well, I've got the motor mounts tacked in, so you can see my engine's at 3 degrees with the tail down, transmission down. If we come over to the front of the engine, within 2/10 of a degree, and that can be easily made up in the motor mounts. And then we have, I don't know if you can see everything in the way, but everything's tacked in place. Both the tube through the big inch and 3/8 motor mount tube, and also to the tube for the front subframe. So that all looks good. You can see this one over here, possibly. Move my light over. You can see that one's all in place, tacked in. I'll put another tack on top here, and then we'll be ready to move on to the next step, which right now sounds like transmission mount. I got the first piece of the transmission mount mocked up. So just found, I think it's a 7/16 14. Drilled a hole in it and welded a piece of tubing in there so it won't crush. And then I can put this on the transmission because the new mount's already in there, and we can move forward for the transmission mount at the rear. So bolt through here, and then have 45-degree angle down to the same 1x2 1/4-inch wall that I used for the brace on the rear end. And what I'll do is tack this all in, weld it inside, and then I'll put a plate on the back side and then a plate on the front side to tie it all together. So now we're all square on each side, and transmission's at the right angle, the rear end's centered, the front end's centered. So it's time to tack. Yep, still very hot. So I went ahead, tacked this up in the car, and did some welding here on the bench. And I did like I always did, put some plug welds on the bottom side. And we'll finish welding those up once we do some stuff on the top. So later today, or probably Monday, it's Saturday afternoon, I'm going to go ahead and put a plate across here, down through there so I can weld up and around, and then probably a plate in the back, and then tie this all together. Biggest thing is I don't want water to get in here, and it'll just make it stronger. Then I'll go ahead and radius these ends, make them look nice. So get a little bit more done today, and I'll show you the welded product and ground product on Monday. So we're back at it on Monday morning. I got the block off pieces on each end to keep the water out, and I just finished these pieces that go in here. So I'll go ahead and weld those in place like that, and then I'll do the final C-shaped pieces, I guess that's what we'll call them. So you can see I got the back pieces made and tacked in place. I just finished up making U-shaped pieces, which will sit like that. So I'll go ahead and tack these in place, check everything out, make sure it fits in the car well, and then I'll fully weld them and grind them out. Well, here is the trans mount all welded together. I'm actually starting to really enjoy welding. I think for an amateur on a 25-year-old 110 welder, I'm very happy with welds like this. Still got some work to do on my welding, but I am very happy with it so far. It's almost ashamed to grind them down, but I think I just want to keep with that theme, so it matches the mounts and stuff. So this is very, very hot. I mean, cooking egg hot. So I think I will go have me some lunch, and when I get back, I'll grind it down and show you pictures. Well, there we have it. One Pontiac Astre, Mazda Miata, LS1, 4L60E transmission mount. So probably might do a little bit more, grinding around this when we get a little bit later, but got all the corners smooth, so it looks nice, and I'm very happy with it. The interior stuff I'm just going to leave, and I kind of want to keep those also, but it's sealed up against water and should be very strong. So I think this is going to be it for this section, so we'll go ahead and upload this video and start the next one in about 15 minutes.